Back WNST, Tass in Baltimore, and WNST.net. We are back from Houston at Super Bowl 51 and discussing, I can't think of a game that would have more to discuss on the back end, and certainly for what it's going to mean for the Falcons and the Patriots and the league moving forward. Brian Baldinger, our longtime friend and analyst and longtime NFLer himself, joins us from NFL Films now, where he's been watching the tape and breaking it down. Baldy, of all the Super Bowls there's ever been, this fourth quarter will be talked about for a long, long time for the value it had for the Patriots and for Tom Brady and for his legacy. Down 25 points and a rally. Boy, the Falcons sure did a lot to open the door, though, right?
Yeah, they did. I mean, you'd like to probably go back. If I was Kyle Shanahan, I'm sure he thought about it, the day after when he was flying to San Francisco to, to become the next head coach there, thinking about some of those decisions on 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1, why you would throw the ball in those situations. You're up 28-20, you got a 2nd and 11. Why you would even begin to think about throwing it where you get sacked and you get a holding call. Next thing you know, it's 3rd and 33. You're at a field goal range. You open the door for the Patriots, Same thing on the sack fumble. So, they certainly contributed, to the Patriots. But, the one thing that was amazing in that game, Nestor, is the Patriots had the ball. They had 99 snaps. 99 snaps. So, I haven't seen an NFL game in a long time that had 99 snaps for one team. And it clearly, as good as the Falcons played in that first half defensively, I mean, you could see how they began to wear down. As much as they substituted up front, they really wore down in the second half, especially in that fourth quarter and overtime.
Well, 99 plays will do that, right? I mean, you don't have enough sub-packages for 99 plays, right?
You don't. And, guys like Deion Jones, who played terrific football, the entire game. I think he played every snap, but, you could just see, he just wasn't as quick to the ball, even on the 2-point conversions and, the winning touchdown, all those kind of things that happened. I mean, the speed that was there the entire first half just wasn't the same fire and explosion. And I'm just using him as an example, but I mean, it wore the Falcons down by the time they got to overtime.
Well, there's got to be a GOAT when you blow a 25-point lead, right? It probably resides with the coaches. I mean, Baldy, you played a long time in this league. If that were you, and you played a long time trying to win a ring, if you were out there and you were Alex Mack or you're on that off Chris Chester, another guy that's played a long time trying to win, and the play call comes in on 2nd and 1, you're going to throw the football when all you need to do is take a knee, run 45 seconds off the clock, burn a couple of timeouts, and you'd have an 11-point lead going into the 2-minute warning in the Super Bowl. I can't imagine the players are real happy in Atlanta right now.
Probably not. I'm sure the owner isn't. You see Arthur Blank down their sideline. He wants to go get himself a first trophy and be there to congratulate, and then this thing kind of blows up on him. But, I mean, Dan Quinn, he's listening to these calls coming in. That's his job to kind of govern it. Kyle's upstairs. He's got his spreadsheets, all of his charts and plays up there. But, there's a filter that comes through that, could kill some of these decisions. I'm surprised that it passed through, especially in those last 5 minutes when they had 2nd and 1 there.
Well, what could be the rationale? I mean, what are you trying to do? You're trying to win the game, right? I mean,
they're trying to stay aggressive, I guess, Nestor. It's because aggressiveness is what made them the number one offense in football. It's what got them a 21-point lead, 21-0 halftime lead. All those kind of things happened, but really, that was. I can't really explain it, Nestor. I mean, Julio catches that unbelievable ball on the sideline that double taps, hangs onto the ball, unbelievable throw, catch, the whole thing. I mean, you could just see the Falcons celebrating at that point. I mean, you're up 8, you're inside the 30, there's under 5 minutes to go. I don't think it's real hard at that point what you do.
Well, they didn't do that, and I guess this will be really one studied for the ages, right? I mean, I thought the pass at the goal line 2 years ago was something. I thought in those circumstances, not that even the most aggressive people wouldn't become conservative, but there becomes a point where the clock's the only thing you really should be concerned about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's no doubt, Nestor. I said it all day yesterday. The clock is what you're looking at here. And it was really, there were situations where Matt Ryan was snapping the ball, had Alex snap the ball to him with as much as 14 seconds still in the clock. when the clock was purely the enemy of the Patriots. And I didn't understand not bleeding the clock to every single play in that situation. I mean, the Patriots are keeping their timeouts in their pocket, rightfully so, until they had to start using them. But they could have really melted a lot more of that clock than they did, just in between plays.
And we're giving time to Tom Brady. That's all he really needs, right? And in retrospect for Brady, of all the things they've done, and Baldy, I've told this story this week. I get gussied up once in a while. I think you saw me on Friday looking dapper, doing my NFL films thing, where I know you go to study, and I shot top 10 on Friday. One of the categories, one of the shows this year is top 10 Tom Brady performances, right? Mm-hmm. And, they handed me the sheet. This is on Friday, and I made a long argument about the tuck rule being the ultimate Tom. It was the coming out party for Tom Brady. You don't think of Tom Brady performances in sort of that individual virtuoso. He didn't have that Montana to Clark kind of play. I mean, through all of his career, most of their wins have been pretty decisive for the most part. He doesn't have sort of those legendary moments. The couple of the Super Bowls they've won have been on field goals, quite frankly. But this was a virtuoso performance. I mean, this was his finest hour in leading a 25-point comeback. Baldy might be the only thing he's never done, right?
Well, 2 years ago, Nestor, they were down 10 in the fourth quarter to Seattle, and they were the league's best defense by a mile, and he carved them up in the second half. Now, this second half of this game, and especially from about 8.5 minutes to go in the third quarter all the way through, there wasn't a throw that he didn't make. Whether it was a comeback to Chris Hogan, 18 back to 16 yards, the ball was right there. The throws he made, one after another after another. You just string them together. It was just a string of pearls. It really was, and that's what it looked like. When you go back and you just play him back to back to back. I mean, he didn't miss, and his movement in the pocket was perfect. Heck, maybe one of the biggest plays of the game, Nestor, was down 28-3 on 3rd and 9. He rushes for 15 yards. I mean, he sees the opening, he takes it. I mean, I know he had one 15-yard run all year, but he doesn't have a lot of those in his whole career, and that kept the chains moving down 25 points. Well, really, really important play in that game.
Where do you put this Patriot thing? And is this good for the league, Baldy, to have good guys and bad guys, and to have sort of a Yankees or a modern-day Cowboys or Steelers? Because that's what we have right now. I don't know if it's good for the NFL, them winning in the end. It certainly was good for ratings late into Sunday night, but it certainly feels like they're going to begin next year as the favorites again, right?
I think so. I mean, they did it without Rob Gronkowski. If you had to list the top 10 players in the league, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski are two of the top 10 players in this league. They might be two of the top 5 players. So, I don't know what Gronkowski's health is going to be like, but that they're even more dynamic with him in the lineup. But, we've seen the lineup change year in, year out with that team, and it doesn't seem to make a difference. Look, it's a great melodrama. There's a protagonist and there's a villain, and the Patriots gladly play the role of the villain. In this case, I think in some cases they were the underdog, considering what the league had done to them. So they'll take whatever role they have, and they're going to try to maximize. But I think it's good for the league, Nestor. I think it makes every single coach in this league even more accountable, even be more detailed than they think they already are when they watch this team. And you watch the level of detail and the situational play calls that they have, the 2-point conversion to make it 28-20. I mean, everybody's got a direct snap to the running back. I don't know if they pull it out when they need a 2-point conversion to keep their life alive. I mean, that was an unbelievable executed play. And I hadn't seen it used all year by them, but they pulled it out in that moment when they needed it the most, and they executed it perfectly.
He is Brian Baldinger, longtime NFL player, analyst, NFL Network, and up at NFL Films as well, checking in to add a little perspective on Tom Brady in Super Bowl 51. Where do the Falcons go from here, right? I mean, obviously Shanahan's going to go run another team. He's not going to have to come back in and call another play, but this is kind of a mess at the hands of Quinn and Matt Ryan having to come back and try to figure out how they lost, quite frankly.
Well, it's going to take a while. They're already, as Bill Belichick already pointed out, they're 5 weeks behind all the other teams that didn't make the playoffs. They've just replaced Kyle with Steve Sarkisian. So Steve leaves Alabama, after a year. And he's the new play caller. So we're going to see what kind of adjustments the offense is going to make. But, when you lose like this, I just got to believe there's going to be a hangover feeling. I mean, this was a team that had won 6 in a row, averaging 39 points a game. They were as hot as any NFC team out there. And this was a crushing blow. And I don't know what kind of effect it's going to be. They have a lot of young players. They have a lot of speed. They're still building this team. We have seen these Super Bowl hangovers before from losing teams. I got to believe there's going to be some effect, but it's hard to gauge right now just what this is going to do to Matt Ryan. I mean, he was the MVP of this league this year, rightfully so. He's been a great player for 9 years. This was his best year. We'll see if he can stay on this arc right now.
He is Brian Baldinger joining us here going into the offseason. Baldy, I don't get you on much. I probably won't have you on for a couple more months. Any thoughts on the Ravens and their offseason? I don't think we've talked about this, and I'm trying to, pull up some residue of stuff we might have talked about last week had we gotten together in Houston. But certainly the Ravens offseason here, you talk about a critical time. 3 out of 4 years they haven't made the playoffs, losing Zach Orr. We talked to big Brandon Williams last week, and Rick Wagner on the offensive line. There's a lot more decisions and a lot more uncertainty around the franchise and personnel. I think, and I know you've been watching a lot of tape getting ready for the combine and for the draft. These next 6 to 8 weeks for Ozzie, for Eric, for George Kokinis, for pro personnel, for everything they're trying to do, putting a roster together that can win 10 or 11 games feels pretty essential. Feels like 6 or 7 wins next year would create incredible turmoil here in Baltimore.
I agree. I mean, you can't live off your laurels. You can't, the Super Bowl from, a few years back is over. Joe is healthy. Steve Smith won't be back. We'll see if, Marty Morningweg, we'll see what they can do offensively right now. A lot of changes there. But they've got to get, you got to get back to, I just think, when I think of Jim Harbaugh, I just think of a guy that wants to, John Harbaugh is the guy that really wants to run the ball first, and they got to run the ball better than they have now. So they didn't run the ball well this year. They haven't run it in a while real well. They got to get back to doing that. And, certainly getting health in the offensive line is going to help. I believe in the 2 young backs they have, but they've got to get better at it. And look, I think they, whether Brett Perriman can become that guy on the outside, he showed flashes this year. They need to really kind of address some weapons in the passing game too. So everything about it, they've got to get better. And you're right. I think these next couple of months for Baltimore are really critical.
Baldy, I'm going to let you roll, man. I know it's getting into the off-season, into travel dog time, so I'll get your full itinerary at some point off of Facebook or Twitter, but I know you'll be banging around here in the off-season and watching tape. Drafting Philly this year, right? It's a big deal up in your homeland, right?
You're right. The end of April, they're all going to be here, Nestor.
Where are they doing it? Is it going to be like by the Rocky Steps or something?
Yeah, it's going to be in that parkway leading up to it. So the Benjamin Franklin Parkway right there, it's going to, they've had numerous parades and parties and things like that. It's a great location for it.
Didn't they do Live 8 there a couple years ago, right?
They did Live 8 there. But, it's a big spot. It's a great spot. It looks downtown Philadelphia to the skyline. From the Art Museum to the skyline, so that's the stretch. And all we need, Nestor, is for you to bring us some good weather, and we'll have a great time here.
Little sunshine. Baldy, enjoy the rest of the offseason. We'll see you at the Combine, I'm sure.
Okay, buddy.
There he goes, Brian Baldinger, our dear friend, longtime partner here as well. You can follow him out on Twitter as well as on Facebook, and tens of thousands do. Our dear friend, Brian Baldinger. Trying to catch up with a bunch of people I didn't get a chance to catch up with last week in Houston. All of that stuff is up in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault. It's also out on our YouTube WNSTV channel as well as my Facebook Live as well. You can always find me nasty at WNST.net. I am on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram. Traveling a little bit over the next couple weeks. We'll mix some rock and roll and some sports in your way as I'm going down under with my wife for a little bit of basement time and getting lost for a little bit. But we'll be coming back in time for the Combine later on in the month. And, of course, off to spring training as well as draft time and March Madness as we monitor the Terps, the Caps, and the Wizards, who have come on like a storm, including Monday night in that tragic loss to the LeBrons, but certainly a game where everybody was watching, which I guess is good here going into the offseason. Pitchers and catchers around the corner as well. Luke will keep you up to date on everything that's going on with the WNST Tech Service. That's brought to you by Coons Ford and Security Boulevard. And, of course, our morning newspaper will ship to your email inbox each and every morning. That's powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. I'm Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.